Yeah, that's where I was. Factory farming. Yeah, basically my whole point with that is that we should allow factory farming, but it should be hundreds of small businesses. I think that would promote wealth. The whole thing with all this late stage capitalism is that we let it get to a point where it's only like 2-4 businesses, right? It's at the end of the day, all these companies are really owned by BlackRock. And people have been seeing that. This kind of thing has been known. The only way to combat that, obviously, is to stop buying from those businesses. But when it comes to the American market, the quickest and most efficient thing is what's rewarded. Whoever gets it to you fastest. Woo! What all that's important is that it gets to you now. Nobody ever is willing to consider what that means to rebuild all this. Nobody wants to. You can't go out there and change it or whatever when you could. If we all like actually participated in a boycott and started buying from small businesses. But I mean, small businesses are fucking inconvenient, honestly. You'd be ordering some shit off Etsy or whatever and it takes 8 months to get to you and the artist is kind of a dick. That's not everybody, obviously. But dealing with individuals is not streamlined. You can go into an AI chatbot and comment to any corporation right now, right? So these are the give and take that it's gonna be required if we want to get out of any of this, right? Any of this whack shit in this hyperinflation. It's not hyperinflation. There's a bunch of other things, that could all be pointed to, but I think generally if you talk to people, they're pissed that they don't have the amount of money that they would want to spend on other things, right? When it comes to it. That's why the economy was such a big issue or whatever for the election this year. I guess this is a softball into the election. Yeah, I have a lot to say about that. Well, I just want to know how Republicans who said that Project 2025 isn't happening feel about it, really, knowing that 3 of the writers are on his cabinet or whatever, right? It might be 2, who cares? It shouldn't be 1. Imagine if that big bad guy from World War II, was hired by somebody else. And they said, don't worry guys, we know we wrote that book, but it's not even like that. It's not even like that. It's just crazy to think that that's the logic, that's the leap in logic. But they don't see him as a figure, relating to the big bad of World War II. They just don't believe that he really meets that standard. But I think that we've forgotten what that standard is, right? Fascism. I don't know. Read Project 2025 if you're sitting there going, oh, another liberal. You need to read Project 2025 because it's direct threat to my existence. It's a direct threat to my existence as a trans person, as a person of color, a gay person. If I ever, they're trying to repeal gay marriage and shit. It's not like the shit that you probably don't even care about. Although, I don't know. That's what I think I realized, too, is it's not that, it wasn't white women who did it. It wasn't fucking Latino men. It wasn't this, it wasn't that, right? At the end of the day, the people trying to take away our rights wanted to take away them more than we wanted to keep them. And that's the problem. That's the problem. We didn't try hard enough. Unfortunately, that's the case that no one wants to admit. When you lose because of effort. You could have always won. We need to admit that is the case. We could have always won, whether it be teaming up with other agencies in order to spread misinformation like Russia did. Literally the day after the election, the people underneath the Kremlin, Putin's right-hand man, right, say Donald Trump needs to stick to his things. He owes us. What? I can't even say that. The 100 hours of that cartoonish supervillain maybe died in prison under his own efforts, possibly. That guy, with the list, he like had 100 hours of footage of him talking about it. I just don't know how people can't get past that. There's all sorts of little things like this, but at the end of the day, they didn't care. They didn't care. This was about winning. This is about winning to people, and the whole idea that like the Democratic leadership is as corrupt as the right wing leadership or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's just not the case. It's just not the case. I think there is something about being a politician too, because of the way we have our system set up, where we prioritize money over people. Because of that system, think about this. In the Constitution, it's the pursuit of happiness. You're allowed to pursue being happy, not guaranteed happiness, right? That right there is to prove that we've always thought money over people, I think. Of course, you can't be guaranteed to be happy. But, I don't know. Isn't that all the rest of what we've done for all of our history, is to make promises we can't keep, to minorities groups and stuff? Letting them down. Really letting down minority groups. It's like horrific for women. I don't understand like how you could ever be a pro-life woman. I get not wanting to get an abortion, but not thinking that other people shouldn't be allowed to get one is the only thing. And as a man, why wouldn't you, for one thing, want your like girl to have access to that kind of thing? I guess like their perspective is that this is like bloodletting or something from the fucking Middle Ages, and that's completely unfounded. It's a science, right? Like real science. But I don't know. In 1,000 years, in 2,000 years, once we're closer to a utopian society, if we haven't wiped ourselves out, I bet that like abortion will be less and less likely. But it also will probably be like a 0% chance that women could even die from pregnancy, and adoption will actually work, and the government won't like get your kids all abused if you let them get their hands on them, or foster care. Because think about that. That's why, what like these people have never heard a foster care story before. These people have never heard a foster care story before, and they're just all, yeah, there's other options. It's like, I don't know. In order to be a Republican, you have to accept being like placated. Like, yep, like shit that just isn't, like, obviously isn't true. What are Democrats saying? What is the left wing saying, right? When it comes down to it, what they think, the points they make every time is how are you going to pay for that? That's every single thing they say about the policies. They're afraid of redistributing the money and shit, or banning something like fracking. Like, we have to kill the earth. It's chill. We have to do it. 5 years ago, there was more faith in global warming than there is today because of all the misinformation being spread right now. The internet is insane. When you can feel it. Like, were people not around fucking 10 years ago, 15 years ago? Most people can't think a year into the future, let alone 50 or 100. Obviously, they have the ability to. It is more the active, like, consideration of what it would take to get there. I think Obama said that quote originally. Half of all people are stupid or whatever. I like to remember that a lot. It's a good thing to focus on. Because, most people aren't going to ever really agree with you or think you're like doing it right. But there was a point, where there was only 5 people, right? We became this over time. And society developed in the average image of all of us. It's a reflection, and I think that is what people need to keep in mind. Is that we can't just let it be like this. It's a reflection of who we are as a being. You know, because look at plant societies and animal societies, you know, shit that we can actually observe, or, you know, spiders, webs. Like, we're closer to a spider than we are fungus, right? We're closer to a praying mantis, like eating each other's heads after sex, than a cohesive system. You know, we're constantly going to war. Fighting one another's. Part of that is, of course, not being a hive mind like a fungus, but you know, and we're far more complex. But at the end of the day, we're the exact same things. We're all animals in this together. That's why I think we should abuse all other animals. Need to be more focused on our place in the food chain rather than eating ourselves alive. Because that's where this hate is placed, right? I referenced this in a previous episode, but you know, if an alien invasion were to happen, everyone would band together and focus against the aliens and attack them or whatever, right? Then we'd all be like, okay, aliens exist. Let's figure that out. As a society, we could all decide that. Maybe that isn't what it would really happen. Maybe there'd be plenty of people who would be like, let's just ignore it. But I think if a being fucking came here from another planet and tried to invade, immediately we are all going to be in fear of a second invasion from anyone else or the same being. We got to be prepared. Or maybe that's what we're not. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. It's humans are always ill-equipped for every situation they're in. Whether that be the Ice Age, we're just so good at clinging on. We're just so good at clinging on for that last second. That's actually what it is. That's it. We're parasites. I always forget to remind myself that we're more like a parasitic being, you know. Actually, that kind of makes a lot of sense. That's more of like a realization I'm having in this moment. The existence, you know, and why we've created our society around money has more to do with what kind of beings we are than it does with our place in the rest of the system. You know, this kind of brings back to my point. We need alien ships that we're building here, and we need to use them to mine out entire planets worth of resources and bring them to this solar system. And then we should turn this solar system into some crazy shit. Like, actually some video game shit. Y'all are saying like, what's this guy on? Bruh, why not? Why not, instead of spending money to, you know, take up land that it's inevitably going to be owned by either my kid or someone else's, into doing something cool, into doing anything other than attacking each other with it? Like, what? It's useless, right?